trust me, you cannot be in a situationship in a long distance relationship, sis. Like, listen, long distance relationships test you. Long distance relationships test your patience. You cannot be in a long distance relationship your entire life. You have to put in double or even triple of the work you would have put in if it was like, you know, a regular relationship. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, if this is your first time seeing this pretty face, then hey girl, you're welcome to the family. However, I would really do love for you to stay, so kindly hit the subscribe button below to join my amazing YouTube family, and you will love it on here. So as you can see from the title of today's video, we are talking long distance relationships. We're talking how to make your long distance relationships work. So for some time now, I've been receiving like a lot of questions about long distance relationships, because obviously before Habi and I got married, we were in a long distance relationship for some years, right? So a lot of you have been asking questions about long distance relationships for a while now. So today I'm here to spill all the tea on how to make your long distance relationships work. So yeah, like I said earlier on, I've been in a long distance relationship before. Actually two long distance relationships. One where we're both in the same country but, you know, different cities, and one where we were in different countries. So at least I've had a taste of both, and I'm going to be speaking out of my own experience and what helped me to, you know, get through my long distance relationship. So first of all, before we even get into this video proper, I would like to put it out there that long distance relationship requires a lot of work. Like, you have to put in double or even triple of the work you would have put in if it was like, you know, a regular relationship where both of you see each other like on the daily. With long distance relationship, you should be ready to put in the work, because that's what it takes, really. That's what it takes. And so yeah, there are actually two types of long distance relationships. I think the first one is where, due to a particular or a specific circumstance, you have to find yourself like, you know, apart. So this type of relationship sort of starts off with both of you in the same location. So it starts off as, you know, a regular relationship where you see each other regularly on the normal, but due to maybe work or I don't know, some other reasons, school, whatever, one partner or one party has to, you know, travel. The second type of long distance relationship is where from the get-go you find yourself apart. So even before the two of you started dating, you knew that like this person is in country A, this person is in country B, or this person is in city A, this person is in city B, or state A, state B, and then yeah, that is like long distance from the get-go. And personally, I think the first type it's a bit more easier to, you know, manage as compared to the second one. I think so, because at least with the first one, you know the person, you've been with the person for a while, probably a year or two or even some months before the person finally decides to, you know, go away, or before you decide to go away due to school, due to work or whatever. I feel that one is a bit easier to manage as compared to the second one. So now let's get into the points I have for you to make your long distance relationship work. Alright guys, so the first point I'm going to be talking about is communication. I know we've heard this like a number of times, that communication is key in every relationship, and long distance relationships are no exceptions. But trust me, unlike, you know, regular relationships, with long distance relationships, you need to prioritize communication, or you need to be more intentional about communication, because communication is basically the only way you can get to know like your partner, and it's the only way to keep the relationship alive. So it's not like the regular relationship where you have, you know, other avenues of trying to get to know the person, where you can visit the person or go out on walks, do date nights and all of that. Like, you literally don't have all of those avenues. All you have is your phone to communicate to the person, to get to know the person well. And I believe with long distance relationship, you should be intentional about communication. Like I said, if you are the type of person who says I'm not a texter or I'm a call person, I prefer to text, I prefer to call, then you need to, you know, rethink it. Because with long distance relationships, I believe you have to be willing and ready to make use of, you know, all the communication options available to you. So you cannot say you are a texter, so if your partner is more of a call person, like, then how are you going to be communicating? And sometimes, yes, you might be a call person, or maybe both of you actually do more of calls, maybe video calls, FaceTime calls, but due to maybe a particular reason and due to time and then circumstance, your partner might not be able to, you know, call or do maybe a video call at a particular time. So let's say in that moment he sends you a text instead of, you know, the normal video calls that you are used to. Would you say because you are not a texter, you are not going to, you know, reply to him and all of that? So you should be willing and ready to, you know, use all of those communication avenues or communication options available to you. Like, you shouldn't say I am a texter, I am a caller. So no. What if your partner is like, you know, the opposite? You are a texter and then your partner is more of, you know, a call person. Obviously you have to be able to do both. And also with long distance relationships, like I said, you should intensify communication. You should be more intentional about it. So let's say you could have, like, you know, scheduled calls, especially when the time difference doesn't work for both of you due to distance and all of that. So you should be able to have, like, you know, like a scheduled time for your calls, and also incorporate it in your routine, like in your daily activities. And also the time of your calls should be ideal for both parties. So let's say a time that is ideal for party A, partner B, so that it's conducive for both of you. You can talk, communicate, get to know each other well and all of that. So communication is of very high importance when it comes to long distance relationships, because that is the only option or avenue available to you to get to know the person, to stay in touch with your partner, to keep your relationship alive, basically. Alright guys, so the next point I have is sort of connected or related to the first one, which is communication. So you should spell out your intentions and expectations to your partner. You should let your partner know what your intentions and expectations of the relationship are. So if you start talking to somebody online and you feel like, you know, things are progressing nicely and you want to move on to, you know, the next stage or the next level of your relationship, you should let the person know. If you also feel like you've gotten to a point where you are not really feeling the vibe and so you want to, you know, lay back or step aside, you should let the person know as well. It boils down to communication. So don't assume that the other party knows how you feel or knows what you want the next step to be. You should let the person know what your intentions are, what you want from the relationship, and also what you expect to get out of the relationship. Like, from here I expect that we move here, or let the person know that per how the, you know, conversations have been going, or per how things are going, I don't want us to move from A to B, or per how things are going, I want us to, you know, take a step back. Let the person know. Don't sit down and expect that the person knows that this is what you feel or this is what you want the next step to be. Trust me, you cannot be in a situationship in a long distance relationship, sis. Like, best believe that the person is doing his or her own thing and you should probably be doing your own thing as well, because there's situationship and a long distance relationship would not work. So it's best that you let your partner know your intentions and your expectations, and you should also know your partner's intentions and expectations, and both intentions and expectations should align. Without that, this thing called long distance relationship wouldn't work. So make sure you communicate your intentions and expectations to your partner, and also know what your partner's intentions and expectations are, so that you know the way forward for both of you. Another thing you need to work on to make your long distance relationship work is trust. Even in normal relationships where you see your partner very often and all of that, there are trust issues, not to talk of long distance relationships, because obviously we are dealing with human beings, and the human beings in this our generation are a bit mad. Sorry to say, guys, but I'm being very sincere. Like, the human beings in this our generation, we are a bit mad. So it's normal to have trust issues, but you need to understand that if you have decided to be in a long distance relationship, then you have no other option than to give your partner your trust. Insecurities are bound to set in, I understand, because you barely know the person, you don't know what the person is up to in his or her country, in his or her cities, you barely know the person's friends, you are now trying to get to know the person. So insecurities are normal. Like I said, they are bound to set in. But if you have decided that this is what you want, if you have decided that you want to be in a long distance relationship, then you have no other option than to give your partner your trust, even if you have doubt. And trust me, doubt would certainly set in. Like, doubt would certainly set in. But then despite those doubts, since you have decided that this is what you want, you need to give your partner your trust. Listen, long distance relationships test you. Long distance relationships test your patience. But since that's the choice you've made, you're going to stick by it and trust your partner to make it work until they've given you a reason or reasons not to trust them. Trust that your partner is not doing things that they don't expect you to do, and you should also not be doing things that you don't expect your partner to do. Like, basically, practice what you preach. I know it's easier said than done, but don't sit down and have your mind, wondering and thinking that your partner is doing this, doing that. So just give your partner your trust and be committed and stick to it, and it will work. So yeah, trust your partner until they have given you a reason or reasons not to trust them again. Alright guys, so another tip to making your long distance relationship work is creating and doing virtual activities together. So you can have online games, Netflix parties, or just creating online activities together in order to keep your relationship alive and also to spice things up, because you don't have the luxury of seeing the person physically, going on date nights, like physical movie nights, or even just taking walks, just taking strolls. You don't have the luxury. And if you are going to stick to the regular phone calls every day, phone calls every now and then, video calls, texting, I believe it can get a bit boring. So in order to spice things up and to make your relationship interesting, you should incorporate virtual activities such as games, watching movies together. Maybe the two of you would watch a particular movie like the same evening or the same time, and you have conversation based on the movie. Like, you be on the call whilst you're talking and all of that. Like, it would help to spice things up. And like I said earlier on, long distance relationship requires a lot of work. It requires like 2 or 3 times the work you would put in if you are in a normal relationship. So you should be ready and willing to put in the work. Be ready to research on virtual activities that you and your partner can do to spice things up. And also you should be open-minded. You might find yourself doing things that you normally wouldn't do, or things that you never thought you would have done if you were in a normal relationship. So you should be open-minded. Be ready to research on activities that you and your partner can do together, just to make the relationship work, and also not to make it boring. To at least have activities that both of you can do together, despite the fact that you don't have the luxury of seeing the person every day and all of that. So yeah, be ready to research and also to engage in activities that would spice up your relationship. The next point I'm going to be talking about is patience and understanding. These two are needed even in like regular relationships and even in friendships. If you understand your partner, it's easier for you to be patient with them. Usually in long distance relationships, especially during the beginning, it's quite common, or quite normal, for you or your partner to be on and off, because sometimes you are not sure about the person you are talking to. You're not sure about what you've gotten yourself into. You are sometimes not even sure about yourself. You are not sure about what you are doing. So you could sometimes be on and off in the beginning. By on and off, I mean like one moment you are all good, calling the person regularly, checking up on the person, interacting with the person. Like, basically vibing with the person, and the next moment you are just off. You just switch up on the person, like less calls, just, you know, being a bit laid back, wanting to keep your distance, because sometimes our negative thoughts, you know, tend to set in and get us to think about a whole lot of things, or get us to even reconsider if what we are doing is, like, you know, right in the first place. Like, are you doing the right thing? And also when you have doubts and all of that, so it gets you to be like on and off without you even knowing, because you are not that type of person. And this tends to, you know, sort of slow things down. And also so when it's the other way around, let's say your partner is the one being on and off, this is where patience and understanding comes in. So you need to be patient with your partner. You also need to understand that it's sort of bound to happen, because we are human. Obviously, you started talking to somebody you barely know, you met the person online, you got introduced to each other by a mutual friend. You probably might not have seen the person before, probably you've seen the person just once and all of that. Like, it's bound to happen, and you cannot just push your doubts aside and, you know, just be there. So you could be on and off without even noticing, or your partner could be on and off due to, you know, these reasons. And this is when you need to be patient, and you need to understand that it's bound to happen. So in long distance relationships, you need to understand your partner in order to be patient with them. And this takes us back to communication, because if you don't communicate with the person, how would you get to know the person to understand the person? And if you don't understand the person, there's no way you are going to be patient with the person. Also, if you understand the person, you'd be able to do things in the way that the person likes it. So it's not like you are pleasing the person, but you'll be able to, you know, adjust and compromise on certain things to suit what the person likes. So basically, you need to understand and be patient with your partner when it comes to long distance relationships. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is reassurance. As I've already mentioned several times, you are meant to have doubts in long distance relationships. And when your partner begins to have doubts and, you know, communicates to you to let you know how he or she feels, you shouldn't be playing the card of, I'm trying my best, I'm doing my best, like I'm putting in my all to make this relationship work. Instead, you should reassure the person, let the person know that you are into this, like you are committed to it, and just try to help the person to clear whichever doubt he or she has, instead of being, you know, defensive. Especially in the first type of long distance relationship, where the two of you were in a regular relationship before, and due to a particular circumstance, the two of you are now, you know, apart. Sometimes when it happens like that, due to the fact that you are in different locations now, or probably the person who had to travel is now trying to adjust and all of that to, you know, settle in, it might bring about the other person having all sorts of negative thoughts, or the person having some doubts, because communication might not be as smooth and as, you know, regular as it used to be when the two of you were in the same location. And also, you know, it limits a lot of things. So it would be hard for both parties to actually adjust to the fact that this is where we are now. We are now in a long distance relationship. So in the case where either of the parties begin to have doubt, either of the parties begin to have, you know, negative thoughts, the other person should be able to reassure the partner. The other person should be able to let the person know that, like, you know, I'm still committed to this, I still got you, we are in this together. So reassurance also helps a lot when it comes to long distance relationships. So the last point I'm going to be talking about is to have end dates. Guys, you cannot be in a long distance relationship forever. You cannot be in a long distance relationship your entire life. Yes, circumstances may call for long distance relationships, but I believe at some point in the relationship, you should be able to talk to your partner, plan out your life, and know where you are moving from there. Like, you can't be in a long distance relationship forever. So if the reason for the long distance relationship is maybe school or work, you should be able to talk to your partner. Like the two of you should decide on, maybe I'm working there for a particular number of years, and then after that we would both, like, I'll move into the location where you are or the country where you are, or the other partner will move to join you there. Like, you know, you cannot be in a long distance relationship forever, so there should be timelines. Like, you should plan and know when the long distance relationship is going to end. So yeah, end date is like a very important conversation to have with your partner at some point in your relationship. Obviously, you're not going to have that conversation, like, you know, at the beginning of the relationship, but then as the relationship progresses, you should have that conversation with your partner, so that, you know, if you are doing long distance relationship, we are doing long distance relationship for a year, for 2 years, after which you move to my country or my city, or I move to your country, or maybe if it's because of work that you are apart, yeah, I'm going to work here for, let's say, 5 years, after which I'm coming back home to be with you. Or if it's because of school that you are away, you know that after school you are coming back home and all of that. So you should have, like, you know, timelines. You should talk, agree on end dates, know where you are moving from here. I know life happens, and then, you know, different activities might mean that you need to have, you know, a second look at your timelines or your end date. So in cases where life happens or things change, you should also, you know, sit down and have, you know, a second look at your timelines or your end dates with your partner. But yeah, basically all I'm saying is you cannot be in a long distance relationship forever. I think it will just frustrate you till you get to the point where you go like, you can't do this anymore. So if you really want the relationship between you and your partner to work, then you should have end dates to your long distance relationship. Okay guys, so these are a few points I have on how to make your long distance relationship work. And like I said, this is based on personal experience because I've been in 2 long distance relationships. So I believe this will be helpful to all of you who have been asking me questions about how I managed to, you know, get through my long distance relationship. I believe it's been a successful one. That's why people keep asking me about that, because obviously now I'm married to my husband. Like, he's my husband now, so obviously I was able to manage it well. That's how come we are here now. So I believe this will be helpful to all of you, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you are not yet subscribed. And don't forget to share this video with your friends who are in long distance relationships. Don't forget to share this video with your friends who are in their 20s, because dating in your 20s can be a whole lot of stress, not to talk of when it's a long distance relationship. So share this with your friends and do them some good, and I'll see you in my next video.